Greetings, Culturians, and welcome back to the channel. We today have something unique and interesting, something fun maybe for you. We have a situation where The View is in big trouble. That's right, the thumbnail is correct, and it won't stop there. Of course, there's going to be some investigation into what Stephen Colbert said the other day, which was a absolute lie, a full-on hoax, and something that maybe could cause some issues. But we're going to focus on The View today, so let's jump into it. Here we go. Now, before we get started, just a real quick reminder, I'm trying to get to 50K, and I can do that with your kind help, and you have been helping. So double check you're still subscribed to the channel. You may have gotten unsubscribed. So if that button down there is red and it says subscribe, click it and turn it gray, and then click on the little bell icon and turn all notifications on. That way you don't miss anything, and we can move forward as we have been aggressively, and I just want to say thank you. Now, before you leave the location down there, hit the thumbs up button icon, and let's get some interaction going, because I'm sure you're going to want to comment on this. FCC chairman confirms enforcement action underway against ABC's The View. Uh-oh, what did they do? Well, we're going to find out in a second. He also calls Stephen Colbert, James Telerico incident a hoax, which it was, and there's a whole other problem with that. But it seems like Telerico is causing a problem for all of these major media companies, and that's a little bit on purpose. At least I think so anyway. So FCC Chairman Brandon Carr said that the agency has an enforcement action underway on ABC's The View after the show featured James Telerico, a Democratic candidate for U.S. Senate, as a guest. We're taking a look at it, Carr told reporters on Wednesday, but he declined to go into the specifics. Fox News reported earlier this month that The View was under investigation for potential violation of the equal time rule, which they are definitely going to be held to because they are presenting themselves as a news program. Now, it requires broadcasters who feature candidates to provide airtime for rivals if requested, and any of the rivals would include even another primary candidate in Jasmine Crockett, not to mention the Republican candidate in that race as well. Now, ABC has not yet commented. The show has also featured Representative Jasmine Crockett, one of Telerico's Democratic primary opponents, as guest. But again, have you seen the Republican, or have they requested time? I don't think we know. Carr's comments follow Stephen Colbert's show on Monday when the host said that CBS attorneys declined to allow an interview with Telerico to be broadcast out of concern of triggering the equal time rule, which was a lie. And again, this was something Colbert didn't want to do, not that he couldn't do. In fact, they could even claim that the equal time rule was broken by doing an interview and publishing it up on the YouTube time and then telling everybody about it on the broadcast, which would be, well, subject to the same kind of situation, and he would have to do the same kind of behavior with Democratic candidate Representative Crockett and with the primary contender as well. Again, this is rife with issues, and if I were a network, I'd be running away from them, and especially people like this who willfully try to skirt the rules. CBS disputed Colbert's account themselves, saying that he was not prohibited from featuring Telerico, but was provided legal guidance that the broadcast could trigger the FCC equal time rule for two other candidates. On his show on Tuesday, Colbert said that CBS attorneys had reviewed what he said on the previous night's program. The interview was posted on YouTube. Talk shows previously operated under the assumption that they were exempt from the equal time rule, the same immunity given to news programming. But the FCC under Carr last month issued guidance warning talk shows like The View, Colbert, Jimmy Kimmel Live couldn't assume that they were exempt when they feature political candidates. As the news played out as a major political and media story on Tuesday, Carr said that he was highly entertained. I think it was one of the most fun days I've had in the job, watching sort of the hilarity of how this story played out. He added, "Look, anybody that's not suffering from a terminal case of TDS could see right away yesterday the exact story arc and how it was going to play out. You had a Democrat candidate who understood the way the news media works, and he took advantage of all of your prior conceptions to run a hoax, apparently for the purpose of raising money, getting clicks, and the news media played right into it. And once again, my problem here is that it was almost a political advertisement by Colbert. He may be held to account for it, but The View definitely will be. And when you start to take a look at these types of manipulations and the way that they play word games and weasel words that they use to do that, you start to understand that some people just love to live in the land of deception and delusion. And both of those things are bad for politics and bad for us as constituents, at least in my opinion. Telerico's campaign reported on Wednesday that it had raised $2.5 million since the Colbert interview. That's a record. Congratulations. Telerico posted on X a link to the YouTube interview and the message. This is an interview Donald Trump didn't want you to see. His FCC refused to air my interview with Stephen Colbert, which is a lie. Trump is worried we're about to flip Texas. No, they're not. In fact, it was CBS and Colbert's show that made the decision about the interview, which is the truth. Carr also based the media for its coverage of the incident, calling it perfect encapsulation of why American people have more trust in gas station sushi than they do in national news media. Yeah, it's true. We did a media trust video not that long ago. You can take a look at that right up there. And like I said, I think you won't be surprised with the results. People are walking away from news and news outlets, whether it be CNN or MS Now or even Fox News. People don't have or hold news stations in high regard. And to me, that's unsurprising. Now, while there's going to be a lot of political games being played between now and the midterm elections, one thing is clear. People are paying attention, especially to how the business or the game is played. And when it comes to the news media, we don't want to be played anymore. And it doesn't look like the FCC does either. So, what do you think? Do you think it's okay to have enforcement actions against, let's say, shows like The View or even Stephen Colbert for doing something that's blatantly against the rules, at least if they're not going to offer the alternates the opportunity to do the same? Do you think that anybody else, let's suggest CNN or someone other than that, it will allow for other voices to appear on their platforms because they have to or because they don't want to run afoul of the rules or look like they're giving an improper contribution to anybody's given campaign? I'm interested in what you have to say, what you think, so let me know those thoughts in the comments section down below. Do me the favor of watching another video right after this one on this very same channel. It will keep you subscribed and it will also boost the numbers significantly. And at the very least, just make sure you set that thumbs up button early on. On that note, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, and until next time, see ya, but probably not watching The View.